Hey folks, welcome to Between Awesome and Disaster. This is your host, Will Carey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. It as I said last week, it's finally feeling like fall here in New York, which is great. The other fun part about that is that the high school that my apartment is near, their football teams starting to have home games again. So on certain weekends, I get to hear the announcer off in the distance, and I get to react to a game. I can't see him. Like, oh man, I hope the team does better at that because I follow soccer. That's the only sport I really can wrap my head around. I don't quite understand all the nuances of football unless I am watching it with someone who knows what they're talking about, and if there are snacks involved. My big thing with football season is that I'm mostly in it for the snacks because it's the only time of year where it's socially acceptable to go to town on like a buffalo chicken cream cheese based kind of dip, which if you are having a Super Bowl party in New York and that's going to be there, invite me. Or if you're having any kind of game day celebration, because I love that dip and it's the only time I get to eat it. And this segues interestingly into what we're talking about today. We'll talk about this briefly. My guest on today's podcast is comedian Courtney Maginnis. She's also the co-host of the podcast Narcissistas. If I butchered the pronunciation of that, I will have links to it in the description, and Courtney will also correct me during in the conversation as well. But Courtney's originally from the Virginia area and grew up cheering for the Washington Redskins, which is also the team that my family supports. It's been a rough most of my life. Because I think the last time the Redskins won the Super Bowl was, I think I was just being born. I think the Chernobyl accident just happened. By the way, I just binge watched the entire HBO miniseries Chernobyl. Incredibly well done. I really enjoyed that series. So if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. And this was just This was really great. This conversation with Courtney was the kind of conversation I love on the show, in that it went places I didn't expect it to go. So I really enjoyed getting to chat with Courtney. And if you guys enjoy this podcast and want to share it with somebody else, we're available wherever you get your podcasts. If you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that helps other people find the show. And also, if you're a listener, I want to give you guys a unique offer. I recently signed up with the affiliate program for Stitcher Premium. So if you were thinking about signing up for Stitcher Premium, you can get hundreds of hours of comedy albums, ads go away, get access to archives of big shows like Comedy Bang Bang and WTF. You can sign up and get a free month of Stitcher Premium by going to Stitcher Premium, Stitcher.com/premium, and using the promo code AWESOME, all caps. That is the promo code AWESOME at Stitcher.com/premium for a free month. So thank you guys again for checking that out. And let's go to my chat with comedian Courtney Maginnis. Yeah, those are some high quality sounds. I like that. I love. This sounds very narcissistic, but I've gotten used to hearing my voice in my.
Oh yeah, I re-listen to my own podcast. It's sick.
What's your podcast?
Oh, my podcast is called The Narcissistas. So it's funny you say it's narcissistic. It's me and my best friend, who's not a comedian, but he's a very funny person, and we've been friends for like 15 years, and we talk about a lot of different things. We call it a Beyonce-based podcast, but we mostly do other divas. So we do deep dives and like multiple episodes on like the history of divas. We've done like everyone from like Cardi B to Mariah Carey to Britney Spears, and we do it all. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Could I ask you what your definition of a diva is? Because to me, a diva, and it might have been from my like mid 90s understanding of that word. To me, diva is a female pop star who, and who is very demanding and hard to work with.
Yes, I think the definition of diva has evolved over time.
I imagine it has.
Because I think you would then, if that's the definition, you would say like Mariah Carey and Patti LaBelle might be the only two living divas right now.
Sure.
But I think now I would define it as just like a pop star who can do what she motherfucking wants, and she's her own business. She's her own thing. You know what I mean? Like
totally. I love your hand gestures you're doing right now.
I got real fucking sassy with it, bitch.
But no, that makes perfect sense because when I think of Beyonce, I think of an entertainer who has been firing like on all conceivable cylinders for 2+ decades, for a really long time. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome to.
It's funny. I just got chills when you said that.
Oh, really?
I'm so obsessed with Beyonce. Isn't it sad? I'm so obsessed with her. I'm like, oh, thank you for complimenting her.
I don't think so. I'm as obsessive about the same kind of things. I think they're just considered nerdier because they're not like Beyonce or Game of Thrones.
I will argue that I am nerdy about Beyonce, though. I know some pretty deep facts in there, but she's like the new diva, right? She's like not a bitch, but she's a boss. You know what I mean? Like she is very demanding, but she's not like saying shitty things about other pop stars the way Mariah Carey is, which I worship Mariah Carey. I love everything that comes out of her mouth is fucking amazing and hilarious. They literally, Mariah Carey, we're sitting in these rolling chairs. Mariah Carey literally gets pushed around in a rolling chair. Do you know that? Like
I did not know that.
When she performed at Times Square, I have a friend who she actually was on our podcast to tell this story, but she was working as a PA for like the New Year's Eve, Dick Clark New Year's Eve, or Ryan Seacrest, whatever. But they, when Mariah Carey was performed, they had her in a waiting room in a hotel, and they were like, okay, we just need to walk a block and a half to the stage, and she was like, I'm not gonna walk. So she had someone push her in like a rolling chair from the hotel a block and a half through Times Square, and there are all these like tourists waiting to see her perform. It's like, to me, that is incredible. But Beyonce is completely different than that. Beyonce is so powerful and demanding, and she has such a vision, and like that's the new diva to me. Like that's where all the other girls have followed. They're more about the business and the
Now does this go, how far back does this go for you? Were you like into Destiny's Child, because to me Destiny's Child was like 6th, 7th grade. So how far back does this go for you? Were you into like the top pop stars of that era as well?
Big time, baby, big time. I begged my mom for a strobe light before I got a job. I begged her. I was like, Mom, I have to have a strobe light. So finally for Christmas or something, she got me a strobe light. And then the next year, I got a job at the mall when I was like 14. I just bought another strobe light because I wanted to make Britney Spears videos in my fucking bedroom. Like, I worshipped these girls. I learned all the choreography. I just like live for a performer, and I love a dancer. I was obsessed with Destiny's Child. Do you remember the show Smart Guy?
Yes.
Okay.
On Disney Channel?
On the Disney Channel. So the Disney Channel, that's premium cable, baby.
Sure
okay.
is.
That is luxury.
Yeah.
And my family got a trial of the premium for a year. We had like the Disney Channel. We had all the shit, right? And that's when Smart Guy started. And Destiny's Child was on an episode of Smart Guy. And I was like, who are these girls? And they performed No, No, No. And then I was done. I was over. I was everything. I love Destiny's Child. I was also big NSYNC for life. So it wasn't, I'm not sexist. Love Christina Aguilera. I just worshipped all of them. And then I got around to Eminem, and then I was like, well, now I kind of hate all of them and love them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had that kind of time too, where I liked lots of different stuff because I was just trying to get as much in my brain as I possibly could.
Sure.
And so I was like really into like Eminem, and I went through an ICP phase for a while. So I was like I was on both sides of the beef. Sure. And that's how I feel now, and with the way comedy is right now. But
sure,
and
I
feel
agree.
like,
yeah.
and then I was like really into Creed, but then I also liked all the bands that hated Creed.
Oh, sure.
But my favorite band was and always will be Blink-182. So that's always
my God, love Blink-182.
Yeah.
They just performed in the NFL on the Monday Night Football,
Yes.
Redskins Bears.
They did, and to tell you how deep I go, they performed on Good Morning America this summer, and I got up at 4:00 in the morning to get there. And during one
How
song,
was
it was really cool. Like
Yeah.
it was cool to see that. You got to see their sound check, and they played the 4 songs. And the coolest part is they were playing one of their newer songs, and I was singing very loudly, and I think I was the only one who was singing the new stuff.
If you know the new stuff, you're a dedicated fan.
Their new album I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I need to listen to it.
And there was and Matt Skiba, who's in the band now that Tom is
Yes, I was
out
going
of
to
the
ask
band.
about Tom, but continue.
Matt Skiba points to me and that does like one of these pound the fist on the heart kind of things. So I was like, I guess that means I'm in the band now. If anything
You're
happens.
in the band.
Yeah. What did you want to ask me about Tom DeLonge?
How do you feel like they've changed since Tom left?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
And not for a good or a bad way, just in a different way. The first album they did after he left, I think, kind of took them back to being a poppy punk band again.
Sure.
Which I enjoyed. But this newer album, they are incorporating more modern influences.
Gotcha.
So it's different, but I refuse to be the old man screaming at the clouds like, I only like the old stuff. Ever been released after 1999 isn't real.
Oh my God, that old.
I don't want to be that person.
You're like, play the party song. Wait. Okay. So, are you an alien person or no?
No.
I
The
love
alien.
aliens. Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, I kind of want to trace that a little bit.
Okay.
So I recently saw Angels in Airwaves, Tom's new band, the same day that the Navy was like, those videos his company released are real and they shouldn't have been released.
Yeah.
So I'd always been, I'm inherently like skeptical. I have to physically see something, but I guess they might exist.
I don't know, but and I'm not that knowledgeable. I don't want to act like I am. I listen to like some podcasts and stuff, and I just like it. I just want it to be real so badly. Do you know what I mean? Like I want something to be out there so badly that anytime I hear a story about it, I'm like, oh my God, it's real. You know, and those videos are fucking crazy, and it's like, I don't know. I just love that Tom was like, I'm gonna go work on this now. But
I know.
he also like brought a lot of attention to this stuff because he's such a huge celebrity.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Oh, 100%. Because like dudes like doing podcasts in like remote parts of the country aren't gonna bring the same level of attention as the guy who wrote All the Small Things.
Exactly though. But like for real, and like that shows you. I mean, sometimes the power of celebrity works in our favor.
Oh, 100%. It's like validating of a certain thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I one time I thought I saw a UFO when I was a kid. I was laying in my bedroom and I was like terrified. I was like, I saw this gold shiny orb like floating around, and I was like paralyzed in my bed.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, oh my God, I think I'm seeing. And before that, I had like always loved alien movies. I'm obsessed. I love horror. I like love all of it. Love the Twilight Zone. And I was paralyzed. I was like, it's happening. And I finally got up the courage to get out of bed and creep to the window. And it was my parents' flagpole. It was the top of the flagpole. And I was like, that was my chance. But it's the same
that's
thing.
amazing.
It's the same thing with ghosts, too. I want it too bad. You know what I mean? I want to see it too bad that I'm never going to see it.
Oh, no, I agree. Like all of this stuff, if it exists, like the ramifications for the world and like life as we know it would make things so much more interesting.
Oh, could you die? Oh my God.
I know. Well, because I'm great. I'm so excited that this subject came up, because I remember being like very into the idea of space when I was a kid. Like, you know, just going to the planetarium worked on me.
For sure. We grew up near DC. So we like were able to go to like big museums like that and stuff. And and what kid didn't want to go to space camp? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I come from Southern Maryland. Basically, my county is considered like a suburb of DC.
Same.
And where are you from?
I'm from Fairfax, Virginia. So I grew up like 20, 30 minutes outside the city as
Uh-huh.
well. Close to much. So I feel like every school field trip was to like a DC museum or to a goddamn Virginia plantation.
Yeah. I once took a field trip to the landfill. That was
Oh, honey, no.
that was
See,
a
that's
trip.
Maryland Public Schools for you, bitch. Fucking burned
It
your
is.
ass.
Oh, so you went to plantations and were like, all right, kids. Well, this is where we used to. People used to own other people,
And my friends were like, I grew up in a very diverse area, so I'd have to turn to my
Right.
black friends and be like, "Yikes!" Huh?
Yikes.
Like nothing more weird and uncomfortable than that. I tried to tell it as a story on stage, and it's people just don't. I think it's like hard to understand that it's like. We would joke about it as kids because it was so fucked up. Virginia's history
Yeah.
is so absolutely fucked, and now Virginia is like very diverse, even though I think it's stereotypically people think it's not, but where we're from it
Yeah.
is,
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just like always a joke growing. It was like so fucked up that we had to learn all of this and go through all of this and live down the street from like all these old southern homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because like Arlington, yeah, is very, very cosmopolitan, but you get like 30 minutes away from Arlington.
Oh,
It's
and
like
it's for sure.
Yeah, I once had. Oh my God! Once in college, I was in a production of The Diary of Anne Frank, and
God.
I was not a good guy in that production of The Diary of Anne Frank.
I'm connecting the dots.
So it's real awkward when you are going to the Holocaust Museum with your cast to like really feel the history, but.
Oh,
But your research is to go there and be convinced by it.
It's
So
like
fucked up.
you're like Hitler had some good ideas.
Right. having to take that point of view is just like and then like a survivor came to opening night when I was in my
Oh God.
historically it was uncomfortable, but
Dicey.
gotta do it for the art, man.
You have to perform well.
Yeah.
You've got to
to.
perform.
So you're growing up in Fairfax,
Yeah.
and what was your home life like? What did your folks do?
Oh, my parents. My parents. They own their own. When my dad dropped out of high school. He says they let him leave, but he dropped out of high school, and
It's like one of those like we will accept your resignation.
Yeah, he was like,
So you don't
they
have to
just
be
let
there.
me leave. I was like, so you didn't graduate? He's like, no, I graduated. I was like, so you got your GED? He's like, no, just let me go. And I was like, none of this makes sense. But he left to start his own business. So he like owned like a landscaping company. That's actually how he met my mom. He interviewed her to like be the secretary, and they fell in love. Very fucking cute. And
that's nice.
yeah, and so then some shady shit went down with the other guy who owned the business. He was a bit of a drug addict. So when I was a kid, they left that and they started their own business. They still have to this day. They do like all the lines on the roads, and they do snow plowing and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
cool.
kind of weird. So there was always like drunk construction workers at my
Sure.
house my entire life, just cracking Coors and Bud Light on the back deck. That was my whole entire
yeah, it's just
childhood. All my family lived close by. My mom was always yelling at people for having muddy boots, and my house was always like crazy.
classic real American upbringing.
You
right
know
there.
it, baby. USA.
I know. That's I can that is the story that so many politicians say is like I met this woman. She grew up, with all the muddy boots in the house, and that's what we need. We need to clean those boots.
It's so fucking stupid. Yes, that's exactly. Yeah, but my parents, they're very sweet. I got two sisters, so we grew up. It's just my house was like very loud, and it was always a party house. That's how I grew up.
Party house.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this cluster of activity,
Yes.
you're looking towards the stars and wondering what's out there.
Oh, absolutely. I was definitely a fucking freak when I was a kid. I was like always an artist because I do fashion. That's my day job.
Yes, I've heard your bit about that.
Oh, thank you so much. You didn't say it was good or bad, but I'll take it as a compliment.
No, I thought it was a funny bit.
Thank you very much. But
that's not the kind of show I run.
You're like, oh yeah, that one fucking sucks, bitch. I work in fashion, so I was always like drawing and stuff. Like people would come to my house, and I'd be like, I was very shy when I was a kid, which is weird now because you know my personality. But I was very shy, so I would like draw people's portraits, and they would come to my house, and I'd be like, "I drew you a portrait." Like I was very weird and to myself and in my head. And I loved horror. I loved fucked up shit. I loved space, alien. I loved all the dark, weird stuff.
Now, when you say horror, are we talking like slasher movies, like your psychological thrillers?
I'm talking all of it, baby.
All of it.
I mean, I will say my favorite horror film is The Shining. I watched it when I was way too young. I think I was probably, my dad let me watch it when I was probably like 9 years old. Way too young. And that fucked me up in a good way. Like now I just love it. I love gory stuff. I love psychological stuff. I like weird stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of like it all.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I like campy. Ooh, love campy horror.
Yeah. I like I have the Friday the 13th box set.
Oh, God bless you.
Gets you 1 through 8, and then you got to get the rest of them afterwards.
Yeah.
I always related to Jason Voorhees as a tall, quiet person who was picked on a lot.
Did you? Are you gonna murder me?
No.
Is that
No,
what the pod's
no.
about? At the end, I fucking kill you. So that's kind of nice. We get a lot of press.
I mean, that is the next. I feel like true crime is so popular right now.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the next logical.
It is.
It's like this serial killer. We found all of the victims, and then we found a link to an RSS feed, and he was like, "After you kill me, release my podcast."
He was on Luminary. How did he get on Luminary?
Oh my God, Luminary. Well, because I work for a podcasting company,
oh, you do?
So I
That's
think
funny.
about this stuff a lot. I just feel like that's the next logical progression. Or like, there's like, a lot of sex and health podcasts. Like there'll be a podcast where people have sex with each other like midway through the podcast. And then they'll continue the podcast afterwards.
God bless. Yeah, the podcast is 15 minutes. It's a lot of work, It
is. So horror was your bag early on.
Yeah. Even more than aliens, probably. I loved horror stuff.
Interesting.
I'm aware. I like a lot of, like you said, I like pop stars just as much as I like Rob Zombie movies. You know what I mean? I'm obsessive over both of them.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's sort of like that's a very interesting dichotomy, but it makes sense to me. I wanted to run this idea by you because I've read lots of like, why is true crime so popular? Because most true crime podcasts, women are big fans of. That's like the majority of the audience.
Yeah.
Why do you think true crime is so appealing to people? And I don't even want to make it a gendered thing. I'll just say in general, what do you think is so appealing about it?
I think that when people say true crime now, I think people have always been obsessed with true crime. Like if you think about what like People magazine and stuff used to be, like when we were growing up, like who was on the fucking cover of People magazine more than anyone? It was motherfucking John Benet Ramsey, bitch. It was like all this, like I think people have always been obsessed with it. I think podcasting is just a nice secretive way to like hear all this dark fucked up shit. And you're not having to share it with everyone or like admit that like but I think it is women are probably have to be aware and scared all the time, and it's almost like hearing it makes you be like, see, my fears are not crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like shit
you're
happens.
Being validated, and it's like true crime is like infotainment almost.
Yeah. And it exactly like ways these motherfuckers like killed people or things you need to watch out for, or like this like learning about sociopaths and like
like red flags of like sociopaths.
Absolutely. Who's the next Ted Ted Bundy. You know.
I saw something on Twitter. Apparently the most accurate representation of a sociopath in movies is that guy from No Country for Old Men.
Ooh, I fucking love that movie. I just got chills when you said that.
That movie is great, and
that's fantastic.
That guy
and that makes sense. Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
That's the closest I've seen on screen to like a remorseless,
just like just boom,
monster.
Like nothing. Oh my God, he's so goddamn good in that movie.
Oh, he's amazing. Amazing in that movie. Yeah. Did you watch like Forensic Files a lot growing up, or Medical Detectives?
I watched Forensic Files. I maybe when I was a little bit more older, I was like 2020. Because you remember, were you a Friday night shows person?
Not the magazine shows.
Sorry. Family Matters and Step by Step and all those movies that came. I mean, all those TV shows that came on Friday nights. TGIF. Boy Meets World.
Yes,
like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Full House. Hello, Olsen twins. Iconic. Me and my sisters were always watched TGIF, and then 2020 came on after. And I remember being like some like dark shit what they would be talking about, and I'd be like, oh my God, I have to watch this. You know. So I liked all the weird stuff.
Yeah.
And my parents, Blockbuster, of course. Friday, like Saturday nights at Blockbuster, I'd always want to get the horror movie. My dad would always like try to get an action movie. It's it's an age-old family fight.
Oh yes, absolutely. You need something with guns and explosions, or something that's gonna like leave you traumatized. Yeah, but I mean. People talk about being traumatized as a child. It's gonna happen to everyone. Like, we're gonna be taught. We're in like another 20 years. We'll be reading articles about like, I saw the Joker in theaters when I was 8, and now I can't feel anything unless I strangle people.
Exactly. Now I can't come unless there's paint on my face.
You don't want to know what's in this paint. It's the tears of all my victims. So that's a great pitch. That's money if anyone in the industry is listening to this.
Yeah, let us know. Seriously. Do you feel like movies and stuff traumatize people? Is there anything you can remember as a kid being like, I shouldn't be watching this? This is fucked up.
No. Honestly, no, because I definitely remember being like, oh, that was real. Seeing some stuff that was really scary. I just remember this one movie with like a serial killer who was like disguised as a security guard, and he went around like killing people, but then he got beat to death by an angry mob at the end.
Oh, that's fun.
But not in the traditional sense of like, oh, I can't watch that movie or anything like that.
I remember just watching The Shining and being just like eyes completely wide open, and then being like, I think I'm an adult now. You know what I mean? Like it just like moved me into the next phase of my life.
Sure.
But yeah.
I feel like thinking about it right now, and I can't say this is definitively the answer.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I don't know if this is definitively the answer, but I feel like there was a pretty big chunk of my teenage years where I feel like I was pretty out of the loop culturally, because at a certain point we didn't have like cable anymore, and my parents never bothered to get it replaced. I wasn't given access to the family computer until like I was well into like maybe like 9th grade or something like that to do like school projects. So the pop culture I was aware of like in middle school, I was, I knew about Pokemon a little bit, knew about Dragon Ball Z, but I remember watching a lot of murder documentaries like Forensic Files, and then documentaries about the sinking of the Titanic.
Well, the Titanic was very hot in the late 90s.
It was very hot. Yeah, if you look behind you, you'll see I have a model of the Titanic.
Oh,
that was like, how like every guy gets really into World War II when they hit a certain age. That was my thing.
Oh, the
Titanic. When I was a kid, was reading about that. It's like, well, no, actually, they said this, and the science, it means they could have missed the iceberg if they were going slower, like all of that kind of stuff. So did you so horror was your jam? Did this translate into high school? Because you're very like effervescent.
People always ask
approachable
me
person?
Yeah, people always ask me if I'm from California. I don't know what that means. I'm just blonde, and I think I smile a lot. But I'm very dark and very twisted, and I have depression, and I like the most fucked up things, and I've always liked them, like always. Like Hannibal came out when I was in high school. I remember loving that. Now I think I don't know if I've rewatched that, but I don't remember it being that great. But anyways,
Hannibal was just okay. Silence of the
just
Lambs
okay.
was where it's at.
Oh, I mean Silence of the Lambs, of course. But I remember like doing in high school, going back and watching like old horror movies like Silence of the Lambs and things that I had missed. Horror has definitely been a thread. Horror and football, those have been the threads of my entire life.
Soccer or like football?
Football, you bitch.
I have to ask because I talk to lots of comedians. I'm a soccer fan. I talk to lots of soccer fans. There's only one football, right?
Oh, okay. Football, baby. Come on. And unfortunately, I like our hometown team, which is not great on a lot of different levels.
The Jets or the Giants?
No. The Washington Redskins.
Oh, the Redskins. Yes.
Redskins,
yeah. So same with my mom. It's been a depressing.
It's very upsetting.
My entire life.
Pretty much our entire life. No, I was born a week after we won the Super Bowl in '88, and then we won again in '92, and that is one of my first memories of my life is in the living room watching with my family the Redskins win the Super Bowl. Very amazing experience, and ever since then it's been very bad.
Yeah, they were so massive during that time. I remember that.
The 80s and 90s. That's why we have the best merch, though. I have a lot of vintage merch, which is great because we were winning and people cared, and now it's we're 0-4 right now. It's not good.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's no good.
Yeah,
but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But I've loved that my whole life. I've loved horror forever. I honestly just loved movies, but like horror is probably my favorite genre. I will say. I mean comedy but horror.
And you say you got the depression.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it was like the horror like an outlet for the depression?
Yeah, actually, now that you say that probably makes sense. Definitely. Also, a lot of druggies.
Sure.
A lot of drinking. But yeah, I would say that. Maybe that's why I like fucked up things, because I have fucked up thoughts in my brain, and it kind of makes me feel like less I'm a freak or something. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I went to therapy this morning. Look at you one-upping my therapist.
Oh well, I listened to Mark Maron pretty religiously, so I'm basically an amateur psychologist.
Oh, perfect. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'm like if I've ever like been actually clinically depressed or if I've just been bummed out and it was based on circumstances.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
But that's what makes talking about this stuff so difficult, because like the people who have genuine issues that they're are struggling with, or like brain chemistry is just wired incorrectly, compared to someone who's like, I just feel bummed or stressed out. It's like not the same thing, but they look the same, but it doesn't feel the same.
Sure.
And you are only really the architect of your own experience. How are we gonna ever figure it out?
It's really complicated, and I've never. So I don't even know. I don't want to act like I'm a poser, but I've never taken medication. But I go to a lot of therapy. So I think what happened with me is, it's funny you say I'm like I fear that I sound like smiley and stuff, but that was always my defense mechanism. So I'm Irish Catholic and Southern. Like I'm not supposed to feel anything at all. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of repression.
That's a lot of repression.
Yeah.
So I think I spent up until 20, honestly, probably when I started doing comedy. So like 25 years old, 24 years old, just repressing every single thing. And then I think, and just smiling and like biting my tongue and not getting over everything and just pushing through. And then when I started doing comedy, I started like opening up a little more, hanging out with a lot of people who were like cool with everything and open to talk about everything. And I guess I never really like hung out with people or had a friend group that really like pushed me to do that stuff. And so then I started going to therapy, and like all of it opened up, and I realized like how much anxiety I had going on, how sad I was inside, that I was just like taking out. I mean, I drink now. I drink a lot, but like I drank, you know, and I like
I'm picturing, because when I think of traditional Irish Catholic emotional repression.
Yeah.
I think of like just, a lot of drinking and fighting.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And then,
those are my big two.
yeah. and then I think of like the Southern emotional repression. It's not quite the same, but it's like that never want to appear impolite.
Exactly.
Kind of feeling.
Exactly.
Especially, and I feel like
yeah.
in the South, women get that a bit more.
For sure. And you don't want to put anyone out. You're like, I don't want to put that on you. That's like not I'll deal with it. Like that thing, it's all there, all of it, both sides of my family. And so it was like, I think from like, even now, what am I saying? There's some timeline on it. Like even now, I still go to therapy every single week. I used to go twice a week. My fiance and I, we do couples therapy. We don't really do it anymore. We actually graduated, so kind of a big deal.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
That's always good.
But we went to couples therapy. Like I've just dug through years and years and years of just like not dealing with a single thing and just drinking or getting fucked up, doing drugs, smoking pot, like whatever was my flavor of the week.
Yeah.
I like, now I'm like dealing with all of it. So when I say I was like depressed or I struggle with depression, it is a mix of like just anxiety and just like I'm also just ever since I opened all this emotion up, it just has been a lot for me to sort out and silo, and it always ever since all that happened, I don't think I've spent a day not feeling like the world was hanging on my shoulders, and every single day I have to kind of like work through it a little bit more, if that makes sense. Like I definitely have had a cloud over me, but it's every day it dissipates a tiny bit.
That makes total sense to me, because you have all of your personal stuff and you're rethinking things, and then I think what weighs me down is that I feel like, especially if I go on the internet for a second, I learn 500,000 new absolutely horrible problems that people have that I'm not helping with.
Absolutely.
And then I feel like I'm the reason it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I do that too. That is a little bit of our narcissism too.
Of course. I've had that argument too. I've had arguments with like groups of people online, which is why I try not to do it anymore, where they respond like, I don't think I do that. And I'm like, I didn't mean you.
You, yeah. Everyone's like, me? What? I'm not ruining the environment.
Right.
Or like whatever it is.
Could I also ask you, in your time in therapy, is the goal of therapy to find the core issues? And if so, do you have an idea of what those are?
Yeah.
With you now?
I think at first that's what it was. At first, I actually went to one therapist, and he's been my therapist for like five almost 6 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That math is right, I guess. So I like started comedy for a couple years and then started going to him. Yeah, that makes sense timeline wise. But so I've been going to him forever, and it was the first I just really truly like lucked out. And I never thought I wanted to go to a dude either, but like he's just is very not me. And it just works out really well. But I think in the beginning it was to dig through all of what I think I'm mad about and get to what I'm actually upset about. And for me, it's like as soon as he says the thing I'm actually upset about, I burst into tears. So it's very easy for me to realize what the pain point is.
Right.
So that was it at first. And now he knows so much of my history that it kind of cuts through some of the stuff a little quicker. And now it's more shifted into like managing every single day. And as these issues come up, getting perspective on them, why I feel this way, why it's not okay. And now it's starting to shift into me sticking up for myself and saying no. And those are things that, those are not in my wheelhouse, and it makes me very uncomfortable. And that's like the new thing it's starting. But this is not like he planned out some schedule for me. This is just kind of like happened naturally over time.
He's adapting the game plan. He's he's on there with like the giant headset thing with the clipboard talking to the defensive coordinator.
Which, by the way, the Redskins defensive coordinator needs to be fired. Anyways, what were we talking about? My problems.
This is but see, these are the kind of conversations I love, because I only ever have these with comedians, where we could talk about uncovering like our deep core issues, and then translate seamlessly into this guy needs to be fired. Because the team's losing. I was talking to, do you know Mike Mercadal?
Yeah, of course.
He's a
I
buddy of
love
mine.
him. I love him.
Because his team's 0-4 right now also, but the Dolphins are apparently
Yes,
tanking on
I
purpose to get a higher.
Yes, isn't that? That's the rumor. I don't know if that's confirmed. He would know though.
Well, if I will say allegedly, if that is true, I feel bad for season ticket holders. They're people that pay money because they love watching their team play, and you obviously have more fun if your team wins or at least tries.
Of course. You know that I don't know if you know, there's a rule in the NFL that if you don't sell enough tickets, then you won't automatically get local broadcast.
Oh,
so
really?
like NBC4 wouldn't play the Redskins if they don't sell enough tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Snyder, the owner of the Redskins, is now covering up seats with maroon painted plywood. So from an aerial view, it looks like there's more people and less empty seats.
Oh my God.
It is unbelievably embarrassing. I don't know how he's like getting around this, but it is. My family is die hard, and they pretty much. I have one aunt and uncle that still has season tickets. My dad got rid of my grandfather's season tickets that he like willed to him when he passed away. Like we're so bad.
Wow, is there a long wait list like the Packers?
There is, but it's I've been on the wait list for affordable like upper level seat tickets I've been on the wait list for like 10 years maybe, and my number hasn't get called.
Oh my God.
But they email me every single year about the lower deck. But I'm not paying. You think I'm gonna pay $20,000 to come watch you lose 8 times a year?
Jesus, that's how much Redskins season tickets go for?
I don't know. I made up that number, but it's it's a lot of money for like the lower level seats and like the club level seats where they have like a lobster bar and like dumb fucking shit like that. Who the fuck wants to? Anyway, sorry.
That's always been ridiculous to me too. Like I'm
my dick.
I'm a big NYCFC fan, and they play at Yankee Stadium, #1 in the Eastern Conference this year.
Bitch.
But every time I walk by that really fancy restaurant in Yankee Stadium, I'm like, why?
Yeah, I hate all the people that go in there. I mean, I have my uncle's old company used to own a box, so we would get hammered in the parking lot at any time, and we'd go up to our upper deck seats, and then whenever it started to rain, he would sneak us into the club level seats or like the box that they had, and we'd get like free food and booze. That was always great, but I couldn't, like, the people that go to those boxes don't give a shit about football. They're all just like schmoozing with their boss, and that's not the kind of people I want to watch a game with. You know what I mean? I want to watch with the real fucking fans who are psycho.
Oh yeah,
like me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even sit with the psycho fans. I sit on the other way, like the big groups that sing and chant during the whole game and hit drums and throw off smoke bombs. I'm on the other side from that.
He like a little more low key.
Yeah, but I still. But oh my God, the last regular season game at Yankee Stadium, we scored a brilliant goal, and me and Mike Mercadal were just on the big screen at Yankee Stadium, just going like, "Wow." For like a really long time.
That's
So it's like, okay, I'm still gonna keep going. Okay, so you're in Virginia. You're into horror. We're not feeling our feelings. Mm-hmm. So comedians are the people that get you to start talking about stuff that normally people say, oh, we don't talk about that. When and where did you start comedy?
So I started comedy here in New York. I moved to New York.
Yeah.
I know, it's terrible. I moved to New York to go to college, to go to fashion school. So I've been in New York since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And
where'd you go to school?
At Fashion Institute of Technology.
Yes.
bitch.
I know it. I used to work at the Starbucks on 28th and 7th.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I might have seen you. What years were you working there?
2011.
Oh, no. I had already graduated.
Yeah. I do think that my fiance, before I knew her, came into that Starbucks while I was working there. That's a story for another time. So
oh my God, I love that.
So you're going to school for fashion. That's your
the goal.
That's the goal.
Working, going to school, interning, like I was like, I'm going to make it in fashion. I'm going to be a fashion designer. I got hired right out of school for Oscar de la Renta lingerie. I was like, look at me working in high-end fucking fashion. And it was the worst experience of my life. I was in a very dark, I worked 6 days a week. I made $30,000 a year, which like in New York City is
nothing.
Tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. Like working that much, eating ramen, drinking PBR at disgusting Bushwick bar. I've lived in Bushwick like most of the time I've lived here. So that was back when Bushwick wasn't cool. And
right.
I just like really hated my life. Everyone was so mean. I just had a miserable experience. And then so I actually got fired from that job.
Oh.
It's just everything about it was bad. It was one of the worst years of my life.
I'm replaying the Devil Wears Prada in my head. It feels pretty.
It's true. Can I tell you, the first day, the senior designer came up to me and she was like, you smile too much. We'll wipe that smile off your face. And walked away. I was like, what the fuck? And, I'm like still happy-go-lucky, like sunshine over here, like, okay. But they wiped that smile right off my face. And so the next year I left, I got fired and I started working at Victoria's Secret because I studied intimates. I studied lingerie. And I started working at Victoria's Secret, which was like a huge corporate job. Not 9 to 5, but like 9 to 6, and pretty standard hours, way more low key, like way more. I mean, not nice, but not mean, actively mean. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not trying to break you.
Exactly. They're just maybe a little cunty, a little backstabby. So I started working there, and I wanted to work in fashion because I wanted a creative job that I didn't sit at a cubicle and write emails all day. And people think a fashion designer is a cool job, but it is in some ways, but like most of the time you're in a cubicle and you're writing emails to China about how to sew things. And I just was very unhappy there in a different way than I was unhappy before. And I was like, I got to do something. And then it was my friends this is like 2011, and all my best friends were like, I was always like the funny girl in the group, and all that stuff, and I always loved comedy, and I was very stupid and watched stand-up specials all the time, and they're like, you should just go to an open mic, like who cares, just go, we'll go with you. And after a few months of them pushing me, I started like secretly writing some jokes, and then they all went with me to my first open mic. I fucking killed. I was like, this is it. I'm going to be a comedian. And then my second open mic, a week later, I bombed so hard that Lucas Connolly, Lucas Connolly?
I know Lucas Connolly.
He spent his whole 2 minutes after me just making fun of how bad I did.
Oh my God.
And now he's my friend. But I just never, ever took a break or stopped doing comedy or stopped going. I just was like completely 100% in to comedy.
Excellent. And where was that first open mic?
The first open mic was at Eastville Comedy Club, which is now New York Comedy Club.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think my first, maybe my second set I ever did in New York before I lived here was at Eastville.
Oh really? That's also where I met Casey, my now fiance.
Casey Saligo?
Casey James Saligo.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were getting married. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to get him on the show sometime.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's great. I like that dude.
Yeah, he's the best.
Haven't seen him in a while, but he's solid.
He's just literally at the cellar right now. Where could you die? Like we met at an open mic 8 years ago. Now he's just working the cellar. It's like amazing. I'm so proud of him.
That's beautiful.
We're getting married. Yeah.
That's
so
killer.
Wait, so you started in DC?
I started in Maryland. I started in the suburbs of Baltimore.
Okay. Baltimore has like a scene.
Right? It has much more of a scene now. There was less of one when I started, but it's gotten to a really good place. So when I started, my first open mic was at a Damon's Bar and Grill, which is like a chain, like burger, chicken sandwich kind of place.
I'm familiar with Damon's.
Okay, so you know it. So we would have. So I was really into like Mitch Hedberg and Dimitri Martin, and I had a couple ideas, and I was like,
I was a Maria Bamford girl.
I love Maria Bamford. Oh. She's great. I could see that.
Little kooky over here. Yeah.
yeah. But Maria's she's amazing. She's
incredible.
One of the best ever. So I like had my couple of ideas, and I just went to the mic. I was like, how do I sign up for the open mic? And the host, a guy named T. Brett Hudson, was like, "Oh, we got some space. You could do like 5 minutes." And then I went up, and I was doing a pretty blatant Mitch Hedberg impression, but I killed.
Oh no! That's how they get you.
And then he was like, "Dude, you got to come back." And I just really enjoyed it. And I found like my thing. Like I had been in bands and had bad experiences with some of the band members, so I was just and I don't have enough confidence in my singing to go solo. So it's just like, fuck, what's the thing now?
Yeah.
And then comedy open mic. Okay, let's try that. So that was my first thing. And so when I started in Baltimore, you could do that booked open mic. You could drive down to DC. There was some mics in like College Park area. You could do New Talent Night at Magooby's Joke House. And if you were lucky and had a friend who could get you a guest spot on Mickey Coachella's headlining shows, you could do the Comedy Factory.
Yeah.
Which was tough because those were $20 all you can drink tickets.
Oh shit.
And they would I would see those all over the surrounding area. So you would go up and they would be, the crowd would
fucking
be packed in, fucking shit faced.
Oh God. My stomach hurts you just talking about that. That is kind of like the weekly show I have in the East Village with Tom Delgado. We've run a show for almost 4 years now, but they have $20 bottles of wine, and we have to end the show before 10 o'clock, or at 10 o'clock, because people get fucking shit faced. It is.
Yeah.
These girls are like, let's just split a bottle of wine, and then you look at the end of the show and they have like 4 bottles, empty. We've had people fall asleep, but they just get so drunk because we're in like a dark little basement.
Yeah.
It's a great room, but it's just people are fired up, and the East Village is super young and
that's
and
where all
kind
the
of
like young party people are
yeah
nowadays.
like the young like yuppie party people though, so they have money and they like want to get fucked up all the time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's my audience.
So like 2010, 2011.
I think it was August of 2011, I believe is when I started.
That's awesome. That's about, I had been in New York probably for about a year by that point.
By then, okay.
Yeah. So
how long did you do it down there before you moved up here?
Probably like 2.5 years.
Okay. All right. So you had a little chops going.
Yeah.
You were still a tiny baby though.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think coming to New York, the grind helped me develop faster than I think I would have if I stayed there. I just knew for my own personal happiness living in New York, that was like check one.
Yeah, for sure. On
the list, because I knew I had a job I didn't like, but I had the one mic I would go to every week, and I had some friends. But I was just not going to be happy if I stayed there.
I completely understand. That's why going to FIT, because VCU, Virginia Commonwealth, they have fashion as well, and my parents really wanted me to go there.
Yeah.
FIT is very affordable. It's a state school, but they were like, no, I'll just be in Virginia. It's like even cheaper. And I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to VCU. But they only let in 15% of applicants to FIT. Right. And I was like, I'm getting into that fucking school. Do you know what I mean? Like I worked my motherfucking ass off on my portfolio. I was insane. Like sleepless nights. Like I was like, I'm going to the school. But I had to get to New York City. I think I told my parents when I was like 12 or 11 that I was going to move to New York. New York is it. And then once I found comedy, it's like everything. I mean, I'm still working in fashion. I'm still hustling. I'm still grinding. After like being so poor for so long in New York, I refuse to be poor anymore. So I'm still just like not sleeping and grinding and doing shows every night and trying my best. But like I would be much less happy and I don't know where. If I didn't do comedy, I would lose it. You know what I mean? I would lose it.
Yeah.
I don't have visions of grandeur. Like I don't. I understand. Like I just want to do stand up. You know what I mean? Like I think that helps not, because it's very easy to compare yourself to people having success doing it less time than you. It's very easy, especially with Instagram. It's so easy to just see all these people. You feel like everyone else is doing so much and you're not, and not be grateful for what you have. Every day I feel like you get to do stand up. So just be happy with that.
I think about that a lot too. I don't get as many sets as I would like right now, but I am doing tons of creative stuff, and I do tech and sketch stuff. And I do this podcast, so I'm very creatively fulfilled.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
You have to. You'll be so unhappy if you don't. And sorry, you said the New York grind thing. Like there is a lot of reasons why people don't want to start in New York, and it's because good people see you be bad when you first start, and then they always think that you're bad, and that's really hard to like work past that and prove to these people that like I am good. But I will say that I had to get good really fast in New York.
Yeah, you have to, otherwise
you have to. And just being able to do stand up every single night. Like even if you don't get booked on a show, to be able to do 2 or 3 mics, like, it's just, it's the best.
Oh yeah, that's why I wanted to live here so much. And talking about like your parents, like, oh, why don't you go to Virginia? My dad, he's retired now, but he was a nuclear power plant operator. Made very good money. Oh
my God, that's crazy.
He made very good money, and he kept trying to. It was like, oh, the plant's hiring. I was like, I am not gonna be the fucking guy who works at the same place as Dad does.
No, hell fucking no.
I was not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I was like, I will keep working at fucking Target.
Well, that works for some people. For some people, that's great. And stability is the thing that makes them happy. And that is amazing. I am honestly extremely jealous of those people. But you and me, obviously, I am not that person. I just have to do something creative. I have to have that outlet. Otherwise I will be miserable.
Yeah.
And I think there is people that are like afraid to take the risk to do that stuff and are miserable. And it's like, that would be my only advice to anyone, is that you have to just do it.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you,
but
you're anytime people ask me advice, I'm sure you do the same thing. Like anytime people ask me how to start stand-up or any advice, I'm like, just fucking do it. It's so easy. Just Google open mic in your town or city, whatever is closest, and just do it. Like that's the only way to do it.
That's the first thing I always say, and I always feel good when like someone asks me, because it's like, oh, I guess I appear approachable. Also, that's the first thing I say, and then I say be a good person and find your friends, because they'll make it easier, and then you will make things together and you all get better together
for sure,
and you'll all have
making things with your friends is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, because it's the one thing you can control. I can control like that people will come over and want to talk to me. I can't control if Stand Up New York has any interest in, or even I'm past nowhere right now.
Oh my God, no, I'm technically past at places and they don't book me for 6 months, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not past that. I don't know. Everything it's so hard. It's so hard, and you're right. You can't control what other people think, but you can control the output that you have, like that.
100%. Yeah, which is something I always come back to. And the other thing, and I'll get you out of here, because this might be, we're coming in on some nice like thoughtful reflection.
Look at us being thoughtful.
The thing I try to remember, because like outside of all of the stuff on the internet, comedy Civil War, and all of that,
it's rough out there, people.
and all of that stuff. I would love to do a video blog with like just like letters from the comedy Civil War.
Just reading people's tweets back at each other.
Oh my God.
God. That is so funny.
Oh my God.
You have to do that. Edit this out. You got to do that.
Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to start doing that. I'll start doing it before
you release
oh
this
my God.
episode.
I'm going to make people so mad at me. But you know what? No one's talking about me now. That's another thing I take issue with. But outside of all of that other stuff, is that just the act of going on stage, saying some thoughts you had, and then getting a response is just so goddamn magical. It just really, it's important for me to remember that that's the great part of it.
For sure. I mean, but it's also hard to remember that sometimes when you fucking eat your dick off in a crowded bar where everyone's talking and you've driven an hour and 45 minutes to make $60 goddamn dollars. Like, those nights are so hard, but that's part of the bigger picture, you know what I mean? Like it's all just like a back and forth of the amazingness that it is and the joy that it brings and the like fucked up situations you get yourself into.
Oh my God. And the highs are so good that you one good set will erase 400.
Oh, bad ones, or like bad ones, or like ones where you perform in front of four people who are sweating and not listening.
Yeah. Oh, I have rocked some 4 people shows. Like
sometimes they're the most fun.
I remember 1:30 a.m. comic strip, 4 people. I performed like it was. I tried to perform like it was sold out, and because I was just happy to be there.
That's the only way to do it, though. I've done those late night comic strip spots. That's so funny. I think the last time I was there was maybe the springtime, and I think there was like 8 people, and it was like an 11 or 12 show and PM show, and I was like, we shouldn't do comedy this late. We got to stop doing this. People are drunk and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Comedy is that one art form that it feels it becomes so tangible, like,
Yeah.
or based around the environment. Otherwise it could just be like stark ravings of a madman or
For
what have you.
sure. For sure.
One thing I'll ask you this when we can close on this. What do you want to do next that you haven't done yet?
Ooh,
What are some goals?
great fucking question, Will. Hit me with the good stuff. There is, oh my God, so many things. I would love, I've been making, I work with a guy who does these NFL fan therapy videos.
Uh-huh.
And they are so goddamn fun, and they're so silly, and they're just really like improv, like just me being crazy about the Redskins. And I would like to maybe either with him or like on my own, I want to develop some other sports Redskin football thing from my perspective, because I'm a female, and then that doesn't get represented very often, and I'd like to do something with that. I want to keep growing my podcast. I want to, my fiance and I are planning out a tour next year. I want to potentially get together some stuff for a goddamn album. I want to goddamn record a special. I want to do so many things. I want my weekly show. We've been doing shows at the Barry Ballroom. I want to keep doing those and grow those. So there's so many things. That is like an endless question. And
this is perfect because I want to make stuff too. I bought overhead mics to mic audiences, and I've got another. I'm piecing together how to record a live show, like for myself. So I feel like this is not the last time we're going to be working on something.
Let's do it. Let's make something.
I'm totally down.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
Sounds good. Thank you for
having me. This was a blast. It was so nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Thank you so much for doing my show,
Of
Courtney.
course.
Okay, folks, that's our show for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out Courtney's podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and I'll have links for her website in the description. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help other people find the show as well, we're available wherever you get your podcasts. You can add us to your fave playlist on Stitcher. You can leave a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. And those are all things you can do to help me grow this thing. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it very much. I also want to make sure you all know that you can get a free month of Stitcher Premium if you sign up by going to Stitcher.com/premium and using the promo code AWESOME. I also want to give a shout out to my supporter on Patreon at the awesome producer level, Mary Beth Moody. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to check out some of the rewards I have available over there, you can, of course, go to patreon.com/awesomedisaster. See what I've got going on over there. I'm also on Twitter at Comic Will Carey. The day I'm recording this is actually my 10-year Twitter anniversary, which was, oh my God, startling to realize. So follow me over there. I don't weigh in on with a ton of hot takes. It's mostly stuff about music and things I got going on. So thank you guys very much for the support. I appreciate every one of you, and I will see you folks next week between Awesome and Disaster. Take care, everybody.